And it's time for us to go to Newcastle now at the ABC studio. Kelly Joe Phelps, he's got a new album out. We played a track from it last week, and in actual fact, that's the track that he's going to do for us live now. It's a familiar hymn tune, but you've not heard it like this, unless you were listening to last week's show.
Guide me home, thou great Jehova, pilgrim through this barren land. I am weak, but thou art mighty. Hold me with thy powerful hand. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. Feed me till I want no more. Open now the crystal fountain, whence all healing stream doth flow. Lay at the fire, cloudy pillar, lead me on my journey through. Strong deliverer, be thou still my strength and shield. Be thou still my strength and shield. Yeah. When I tread the verge of Jordan, bid my anxious fear subside. Death of death and hell's destruction, land me safe on Canaan's side. Songs of praises I will ever give to thee. I will ever give to thee. Bread of heaven, feed me till I want no more. 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 Yeah.
If you were listening to the music show last week, you would have heard that track played from Kelly Joe Phelps' new album called Brother Sinner and the Whale. And there it was, sounding not too different, but done live for us on today's music show by Kelly Joe himself. Thank you very much, Kelly Joe.
You're absolutely welcome. Thank you.
That turning Rhondda into a toe tapper, that's an achievement, I think.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to play. I've had some really fun conversations with other people about it as well. You know,
because it's one of those really stirring hymns, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
It gets kind of quite big and emotional, and to have it in that lovely sort of almost laconic manner is makes a nice change.
Oh, good. Thank you. That's great.
It's hard to believe when you play like that, but I mean your beginnings really were in free jazz, weren't they? I mean, you were a big fan of Ornette Coleman and
yeah. I spent a lot of time with that music, and there was a point in there. I did that mostly from my 20th year to my 30th year, that general decade, and there were certainly times in there where I figured that was all I was going to be doing the rest of my life, So I didn't see any of this sort of thing coming. But
well, I mean, how did it come?
Well, it came in a curious roundabout way, in a sort of a humorous way, in that there was a period in there where I was playing almost nothing but free avant-garde kinds of jazz music, and I was decided I wanted to look around and find some new ways to play music in that context, and to find new inspirations, and I decided that what I wanted to do was open myself up to anything, any possibility, and trust that I would figure something out. And it was at that point, interestingly, that I started listening to country blues slide guitar players, thinking that maybe what I was going to do was start playing a lap steel guitar in the context of a free jazz group. But what I didn't expect was, when I started paying attention to that music, it was going to grip me so hard and essentially change my musical life, certainly.
So it was a conversion.
I was converted by Blind Willie Johnson, I guess.
Oh yes, well I can't blame you. I mean,
yeah.
he set out to convert people to all sorts of things.
Yeah, and he won my soul, that's for sure.
I mean, it's not as strange as it sounds, though, is it? Because I mean, you're not the only person to have a foot in both camps. I'm thinking of somebody like Charlie Hayden, for instance.
I know. Yeah, he's great that way, and I agree with you. He's one of my heroes in that situation, and also that was one of the things I always loved about Ornette Coleman's music, especially that period with Charlie Hayden and Don Cherry, and that particular group and that set of records was. I grew up listening and hearing country western music. That's what my folks listened to, and learned to play fingerstyle acoustic guitar when I was in my mid-teens, and so I always loved various branches of the folk music tree, and that was always the most beautiful thing about those Ornette Coleman records to me was in so many ways it made me feel like I was listening to folk music, and particularly the fundamentals from Charlie Hayden.
Yes.
So it's very fascinating, and I think it's in there. I mean, clearly there's that great track called "Ramblin'" from I can't remember which record it's off of now, and it comes time for a bass solo, and Charlie Hayden plays Old Joe Clark. I just think that's brilliant.
That's right. But he grew up listening to that music as well, didn't he?
He did, yes, he did, yeah.
And indeed singing it too. I mean, there's
right.
that amazing recording of him as a 2-year-old or something.
Yeah, don't you love
radio.
that? Yeah, that's fantastic. Absolutely.
You grew up in Washington State.
Yes.
So, and as you said, you were listening to old-timey music, I guess, in all its forms. So how did you then end up in free jazz?
That I think is fairly straightforward. When I started playing guitar, I was around 12 years old or so, and I was fascinated by all music, just every single kind of music I could get my ears on. I loved, and so I learned anything I could, and that also became I got a mandolin and started learning to play that. I got a banjo, started learning to play that, and even spent time playing trumpet and saxophone and anything I could get my hands on I just dearly loved, and so that was in place, and nothing really structured, but just this rabid passion for the whole thing, and as I was learning different things about music, now when I got to be about 18 years old, was when I started paying attention to jazz music. And shortly after that, when I started meeting other jazz musicians and finding out what it was actually that they were doing, meaning so much of the music was improvised, and I really didn't understand that until people started to explain it to me, and that just shot me to the moon. I thought, wow, not only are you playing this really great music, but you're making it up at the same time, and so I just sold everything, generally speaking, sold everything and bought a house in Jazzland, and it was all about improvisation, which is why a few years into that process, I found myself being drawn to free music more than other things, because I was that excited and that thrilled and that moved by by improvisation.
When you did Western Bell a few years ago, Kelly Joe, I mean, was that in a sense your sort of reaching back for a bit of that freedom?
Yes, yeah, without question. It was that was a record that I was bound to make at some point, and that point showed up right around 2008 or 9 when I found myself being drawn to that again, wanting to experience music in that way, but wanting to experience it from this point of view, in my life, the age that I had gotten to, and the experiences I'd had, and feeling like I had done a lot of work leading up to an idea like Western Bell, which is my own version of marrying folk music with improvisational jazz music, and so it made perfect and beautiful sense to me then, and I decided to go ahead and get that record done that I kind of always wanted to do anyway.
Yes, and it sounds very much as though it's almost like a summing up or a manifesto or something. I mean, you're saying these are the things that I do, and I can do them all at the same time.
Yeah, no, that's accurate and right for sure.
And the slide, I mean, everybody loves the slide, don't they? But did you find that in a sense it was a bit limiting, technically maybe?
Yeah, it is. The playing slide guitar brings with it immediate limitations because of having to lock down. In the case of bottleneck playing, you have to lock down one of your fingers essentially by putting the slide on it, meaning you can only use it in one kind of way. And that's more so with the lap style because you're essentially locking your hand down, left hand down, because rather than putting a slide on one finger and having a few others to still use in a normal fashion, you're holding a slide bar, and that's all you're going to be able to do. So as beautiful as the sound is of an instrument, and certain things that you can get playing lap style that you can't get any other way, it is very limiting in the end. And so, in my case, the limitations. Ultimately, the limitations took the joy of it away, from me.
And so, is it now primarily about the song? I mean, coming to the latest album, Brother Sinner and the Whale. I mean, we're back in the Old Testament, in the Book of Jonah. Is this
right?
Is this a religious choice, or is it to do with language? I mean, it's the King James version of the Bible that's your version of choice, isn't it?
It is, yeah, such a beautiful thing. It's both. There's a lot involved in this record. I mean, the music is sprung from a lot of different angles, and some of it certainly is, personally dealing with religion and Christianity over the last few years. Although I was raised with it and have been in and out of it and around it my whole life, but I've been paying very strict and constant attention to it the last few years, and so as a person of creativity, finding a creative spark showing up, and whenever that does happen, or the waters open up or the gates open up or whatever, the last thing I would ever want to do is say no to it. So in this case, I felt this immense creative energy and wanted to capture it, and knew full well that the only thing that was going to make sense when it came to lyrics or music was going to be dealing with the exact state that my life was in then and the moment, and try not to be too concerned with that. So there was that decision there, knowing that the package in the end was going to be thematically gospel. And, a lot of people would be fine with that. A lot of people would be happy with that. Some people, might be rubbed the wrong way about it. But it wasn't. It was never. There was never a point where I said, because of that, I shouldn't be doing this. Because it seemed like, everything I've done up to this point has been based in honesty, and I don't ever want to stop doing that. So it was time to do that record. There's the religious aspect of it, and also, Western Bell, along with everything else we've said about that, it was a bit of a culmination as well. Like I was in certain ways, my whole career led up to that record, and that record was done, and by doing it and putting it out, I think it allowed me to take this very deep breath and say, okay, I started a process years ago. I've completed that process, and now I can sort of start again, and look for these places, where I find musical joy, and so, in certain ways I've gone forward, but I've gone back to playing a more direct kind of, country blues sort of music, gospel-based music. But again, as a 53-year-old person rather than a 32-year-old person, and various things. So,
but you could say, of course, next that well, now I've done the gospel country blues album. Where am I going to go after this? I mean,
yeah,
this could be another thing you've got out of the way.
Oh, I know it. Yeah, I'm trying not. I can't really look in that direction quite yet, because it could very well be true.
Yes. Anyway, you've got this album to promote, and you've got this album with lots of songs to sing, and you're going to do another one for us. You're listening to The Music Show on RN. My guest is Kelly Joe Phelps. The album is called Brother Sinner and the Whale. And Kelly Joe, thank you very much indeed for being on The Music Show today. You're going to do Brother Pilgrim, the final track on the album.
Yes. And thanks very much for having me. I appreciate that. It's been fun talking with you.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to take my headphones off again. Hold on.
Kelly Joe Phelps. And you can find Kelly Joe tonight at the Substation in Melbourne, on Monday at the Caravan Music Club in Oakley in Victoria, and then he's off to Brisbane and the Sunshine Coast and Cairns and Mullumbimby. And our website has the dates. And if you want to hear more of his album, then that new album of Kelly Joe's is on it's Doug Spencer's featured CD on the Weekend Planet next Saturday, the 11th of November.